What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new commentary video. First of all, just want to say that we're just playing some Cyberpunk today. You know, we're just chilling out. I've been enjoying the anime, so I just decided to reinstall the game and have some fun. But anyways, without further ado, we're gonna hop right into this. So we actually have somebody returning that has asked a question in the past. So we're gonna get right into this. Once again, if you are interested in asking a question, or if there's a topic that you're interested in, feel free in leaving a comment, send me a message via social media, and I will make sure to get to your topic. Anyways, let's get right into this. So we got one here from Jason. What's going on, Hunter? I just want to say once again that I've been enjoying the videos. Thank you so much for everything that you have been doing for the community. Thanks a lot, man. So me and my girlfriend have recently been getting in a lot of fights, particularly when it comes to the conversation of communication. She feels that I'm not communicating my feelings well and that we are not having good communication. She is constantly telling me that this needs to improve or else we may need to break up. Just curious what you thought about this situation and what you would recommend I do. So I do have a few things to say about this in particular, and number one is that while I think that communication is really important, obviously in a relationship in particular, I think that we have this issue in society where one side of a relationship tends to blame the other for an issue, and they sort of look at it like they aren't necessarily fighting the issue, they're fighting their partner, they're fighting their boyfriend, they're fighting their girlfriend. When that's not the truth. I've mentioned it before, but the thing is about a partnership is that it has to have some sort of compromise. It is that it needs to have some level of understanding. I know for a fact that I've said this multiple times in the past, and I still believe in that, and I still think that it's true. So in particular, when it comes to communication, while of course communication is important, I think that is an important aspect to look at. This is how I look at it. When you are in a relationship and you are having an issue, it's not you against the issue, it's you and your partner against that issue. And this is something that I have to remind myself and my own partner of this sometimes, because the thing is that it's easy to blame one another, it's easy to point fingers, it's easy to get angry, it's easy to fight, it's easy to do these things. When the point of a relationship at the end of the day is to be able to build upon one another to become sort of a working sort of pair. And the thing is that while communication can be tough, especially for men, which we're going to talk about here in a couple minutes, is that it is important to understand that this is a partnership, not necessarily something that needs to be tackled alone. And I think that's important. I would remind your girlfriend of that. Is like, look, I will admit you are telling me that I need to work on communication, and I am fine with that, but I would like to sit down and discuss this further. I would like to understand what you feel I need to improve on. I would like to have a discussion to figure out exactly what needs to happen so that we can tackle this together, not simply just I'm going to tackle it on my own and you are going to be reminding me that I need to tackle this, not that we need to tackle this. Because ironically enough, in a lot of cases, when people are going to tell you, hey, I feel like you're doing this thing wrong, I feel like you were not communicating well, in a lot of cases, is that it's both people's fault. It's not just one person's fault. Is that it needs to be an open conversation and an open dialogue. It doesn't help if we decide, you know what, you're the issue, you are the problem, right? Because some people will do that. I've met people that have done that. I've dated people that do that, where it's, okay, I am blaming you for this issue that we have, not trying to get to an understanding. And in particular, I think that this is an issue that typically women find hard to understand. Not necessarily that they can't understand it, because of course they can understand anything, but the issue is that typically females and women are typically more emotional people. And the cause of this is kind of unknown. It's about how the brain processes information and all that stuff. We're not here to have a psychology lesson. But the point is that when you have these sort of arguments, right, in a traditional man and woman relationship, when you have these issues pop up in these relationships, what happens is that it causes resentment, it causes distance, right? Because the man is not understanding what he's doing wrong, right? Because in his perspective, he's doing fine. And this is for a multitude of reasons. Men for many decades at this point have been forced to push their emotions down, push their emotions to the side, not work on themselves. They've been told that there is nothing wrong with you, both positively and in negative ways, that you don't have mental illnesses, you don't have these physical issues, you don't have these character traits that we need to work on. You are a man and you are going to be a man. And that is what they were told for decades. That's what they were told for generations, right? And it's passed on. And we're starting starting to see that sort of end, but it is still a factor affecting most men today. And most men don't realize that, unfortunately. And for a long time, I was sort of like that too. I was raised in a household where where I was taught with some of these values. And of course, I don't believe in those values, or else this series wouldn't exist. But the point is that you need to understand too, as a man, that you are going to process emotions, and how somebody is going to try to work on those emotions with you is going to be different, right? A lot of times men don't really realize when they're struggling. They don't realize when there's a problem. They push it down and they try to ignore it, and that doesn't work, right? But then on the flip side, to women as well, is that when you are going to confront your boyfriend about how you feel about how they are not communicating right, they're not doing these things properly, you need to understand that sometimes there's an underlying issue that isn't being communicated properly. And here is some of the things that I would really recommend when it comes to working on this communication skills. Number one is making sure that you are relating to the person that you're having these conversations with. It's a major issue that I see where men in particular have these issues where they can't relate to somebody, therefore they shut down, therefore the communication skills go out the window, therefore we're starting to have these issues. I think that it's important to practice learning how to understand people, how to relate to people. I think that this is something that society in general has struggled with over the last, 30 years in particular. And I think that it is something that's important to think about. I think also it's super important. Sometimes communication can be caused by drift in the relationship, and this drift can be a multitude of things, but sometimes it's actions that haven't been addressed. And this is a thing that we don't talk about a lot, right? Is that a lot of the times when a man is having an issue with his partner, right, he won't address it. He will push it down because he believes that it is invalid, when in fact it's not invalid, and everybody's complaints are valid in a relationship. That's sort of the point. And so it's important to express those things and be like, and this doesn't need to be in the conversation. Let me make this clear too. When you're having the conversation about communication, this isn't the time to bring it up. That's not the good time that things are going to be solved magically. I can promise you that. But when you're having these issues, express it. When these issues arise, you need to express it. You can't just decide, I'm going to ignore it, things are going to improve on their own, because unfortunately most people aren't going to pick up on the signals that, hey, things aren't going great and I need to change myself. It's not my partner, it's me. A lot of people don't realize that, and it ends up causing a major drift in their relationship. And another thing is I would really work on trying to build that connection by doing cute things, right? Acts of kindness, acts of service, doing more lovey-dovey things, going on more dates, doing these things that should naturally help spark communication and conversation, which is seems like an oxymoron sort of thing, but it is truthful. Is that sometimes maybe the spark is lost because you are both stressed, maybe you both haven't had time for one another, and that could just simply be it. But it's important to figure that out and to sit down and have a conversation and be like, all right, look, we're going to do these things. I'm going to try to improve in this way. This is how I am going to try to improve the complaint that you had, right? Because you're not invalidating it, you are trying to find a solution currently. And you're going to just do these cute things that maybe you guys used to do in the past, maybe something that you've always wanted to try, things like that. Is that it's important to do these things to help spark a bit more of communication, start more of a conversation, naturally flowing, compared to if we artificially attempt to create a conversation and we artificially attempt to sort of fix the issue. Is that sometimes there isn't a major issue, there isn't a major fight that happened that wasn't addressed, there isn't a major issue that hasn't been addressed, you're right? Sometimes is that it's simply that there was a tiny drift, and the important factor is that you can work on that drift. Just because there's a drift, or you feel like that you're not in the same sort of relationship that you were 4 months ago or whatever it may be, doesn't mean that it's invalid, and doesn't mean that it can't be back that way, which I think is something that we kind of forget. Is, we have these things such as like a honeymoon phase, right? We have this other term like puppy love, all these different things. And the thing is that while it's not always going to be perfect, and it never will be perfect, is that it is important that you can work on things to try to keep it relatively similar, right? Obviously it's never going to be perfect forever, but it is important to sort of stop, have a conversation, figure out what are we missing, what are we doing wrong, and to sit down and have that discussion. And because the thing is that I think that in general, people quickly result to the idea that we need to break up. And I think that is a product of, our divorce culture in America, our breakup culture in America, our hookup culture in America, our, dating culture in America. I think it comes down to a lot of different factors. But the important thing is that, in my opinion, now obviously there's several reasons that is grounds for a breakup, right? Of course, cheating, abuse, all these different things are super important factors that if these things are happening, you should not stay with that person, and you should probably, seek help if you need it. But in a lot of cases, they have these sort of things currently in life where people will break, and I see it online a lot, where people will break up because they had a small argument, they had a disagreement, they feel that communication isn't being worked on properly. And I feel like if it's ignored for years or months or whatever the time frame may be, then yes, there is grounds for a breakup. But I think that it is also important to work on things before we immediately jump to the nuclear option, because I think that we have this perspective that things need to be perfect forever. I've seen this from multiple people that think that everything needs to be perfect. We need everything to be a social media relationship, when that isn't the case for 99% of people. Is that you're going to have a more traditional relationship, not in the sense of gender roles, but in the sense of sort of your morals, sort of in the sense of, what is grounds for a breakup? How are we going to work through things? And I particularly do blame social media for the increase in breakups, simply because people are now expecting a lot more from their partners. And some of it is valid, but some of it isn't. Some of it is sort of, we are expecting a perfect person when nobody is truly perfect. There's never been a single perfect person that has walked this earth to this day. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that this video helped a little bit. I'm back at it. I skipped this week because I'm working on a big project both for school and for the channel, so it's just a busy time. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I just once again want to say thank you all so much for making it this far in the video. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, press that like button, and also feel free to join our Discord. You can also buy W Energy with our discount code Sigma934, or you can click the discount link in the description. That'll give you 10% off of everything on the website. That includes energy drinks, that includes hydration tubs, that includes energy cans, that literally includes merch, that includes everything on the website that you can fucking buy. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your day, and peace.